Hi, my name is Andrea Fabry, and welcome to the Connecting Place. Today I'm going to talk about lessons learned from our toxic mold exposure. Now, I think some of these lessons apply to anyone who's going through a crisis, but if you know someone, or maybe it's you, who've had to go through this kind of health crisis and then leaving your home and all that goes with toxic mold and some of the ramifications of a severe exposure, then I think you'll relate. I'm drawing on a chapter called Hope After Mold, and these reflections are 7 years in the making. We left our home in 2008, 7.5 years actually. And as I look back, there are some lessons that I learned, things I would do differently that I hope will help you and encourage you wherever you are and maybe whatever crisis you're facing. The first one is take care of yourself and your family. One of the first things I did was try to convince other people that this is real and explain to them or really look to them for their validation, hoping they would just understand what we're going through. And I spent a lot of energy on that. And looking back, I probably wouldn't try to convince people. Now, I mean, for people who are really genuinely interested in what you're going through, that's a different story. But most people ask casually, kind of look confused or almost dismissive of what you're going through. That's something best absorbed and keep moving forward. Take care of you, take care of your family. The other way that fits in is we tried to help other people avoid what we went through. So when it came to selling our house, we felt like, well, we can't sell this house. And we had already remediated it 2 times. But we still felt like we just wanted to protect the world from this evil toxic mold. And looking back, I would sell the house as is and with full disclosure because it's probably one of the healthier homes out there for a lot of people. Not everyone will react to this level of mold, and certainly we had remediated it, was clean, and with full disclosure, I would have just sold it as is. As it was, we sold it to our remediator for the cost of our loan, and he turned it around and sold it. So looking back, I probably would just sell it as is. But more the idea is, during a crisis, you can only take care of you and your family, your immediate family. Other than that, you really can't take on the burdens of the world and either trying to convince them or take care of them and help them avoid this same type of thing. The second lesson, as I look back, is keep moving forward. It's so easy in a crisis to look back and say, oh, I would have only known, or what I would do differently is, or I wish I would have, and if only this or that. It's paralyzing, and we all do it. But in a crisis, it's best to use whatever you've learned to move forward. We all live with regrets. There's not anyone walking the earth who wouldn't do things differently to some degree. And when it comes to a crisis like toxic mold, it's so easy to look back and think, oh, it was so obvious at the time. What's wrong? Why didn't I see that? Oh, if I would have just not whatever, X or Y or Z. That is something I did a lot of. And at the same time, I just would remind myself, no, it's not helping anybody to go with the what if scenarios. Every bit that I learned during those years, even before, was used to propel us forward. So take whatever, the what if, and use it to move forward. The third lesson is don't jump ahead. Well, in any crisis, it's easy to say, well, what if this, and if this, then this, and that. And with mold, it's very easy to say, well, if I test the house, then does that mean I'm going to have to leave it? And if I have to leave it, then we're going to go bankrupt. And if we go bankrupt, then this, and then this, and what about the kids, and what about the... It's endless, the scenarios about the future. And we all face that. None of us really knows what the future is like. The best thing to do is simply to take the next step. Maybe in the mold situation, maybe you brought some possessions with you that you regret. Toss them. Don't look back and go, oh, well, maybe down the road this is going to make us, or whatever health scenario you paint. It's paralyzing, isn't it? Move forward. Take your next step. Don't look too far ahead. It will help you immensely. And chances are, if you're listening and you're going through this, you know what the next step is. It might be something small. Okay, well, we just need to change our diet. That's what we're going to do. Or the next step is to test the house. Or the next step is we're going to go on this trip and see if we feel. Whatever the next step is, just do that. And then the last lesson is to embrace the process. And again, for any crisis, we fight it, don't we? This is too much. I can't bear it. I want to go back to the old days when it wasn't like this. I can't stand this. And we fight, and that takes energy. So as we were walking this road, and I hit those obstacles and the paralyzing, I can't go on type feelings, I would sometimes just collapse on the floor, cry it out, get back up, and keep moving. But ultimately, what changed in my heart was, you know what? This is a journey. This is a process. It's going to take time, and that's okay. There is no timeline for this. The other part of what I really struggled with was, why aren't we getting better faster? What's wrong with us? I see all these healing stories on the internet, recovery stories. I had no idea, no understanding how long it takes for the immune system to recover and rebuild. The more you let go of the timeline, the freer you'll be. So when I decided that, you know what, I'm just going to take our health as it is. I'm going to take it one day at a time. I'm not going to look to a 2-year limit, and in 2 years we're all going to be better. Everything's going to be back to normal in so many months, or stop questioning what's wrong with us that we're not getting better. Now that it's been 8 years, I'm so glad I took that moment to say, I'm letting go. I don't care if it's 6 years. I don't care if it's 10 years. Whatever it is, I'm going to learn. I'm going to embrace this process. So that's just an excerpt. That's from my heart as I look back at the last 8 years, and that's an excerpt from a chapter in my book, Is Your House Making You Sick? A Beginner's Guide to Toxic Mold. Hope after mold. I hope that's given you some hope as you've listened today to The Connecting Place. Thanks for listening.